I talked to Charlemagne. I asked him why he interviewed Candace.
You would interview Candace?
No, I never interviewed her.
Would you have?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
I mean, me and Charlemagne talked about this, and he gave his explanation. Candace Owens, who we're talking about. I feel like what Candace does, and the reason why Candace is popular, is that she has made herself as a black face for white racism. White people could say, look, see, a black person is saying that George Floyd died because he was a drug addict, not because that cop put that knee to his neck. See, she's saying it. She's saying it, and she's black.
What about if those are her independent thoughts? It just aligns with maybe what some racists feel, but she's not having it from a point of view to
I think there's a lot of instances of that, and I think she understands the power of doing that, and the crossover into sort of the Trump kind of level of that. And I feel like, I feel like I have a little bit too much respect for black people to bring on someone like a Candace and have her throw those types of things out. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when I talked to Charlemagne about this, he said, well, a lot of older black people are actually saying stuff like this in private. That boy should have done those drugs. You know what I mean? He kind of put himself in that position, but those are the old people. Like, you know what I mean? Like I and Charlemagne's my man. I don't necessarily agree with that, but I respect the fact that he did it. But it's just not for me.
What do you think is the difference between Candace Owens and, like, say, someone who's just Republican just happens to be black? Because I see more of that. I do see certain things that seem to be personal with her.
I have no qualms with black Republicans. I don't have qualms with Republicans, period. People around me,
she's more of the
people
face
around me
of conservative.
are people very close to me. Black people are voting for Trump this time, and I respect their opinion.
Are you voting for him?
I'm undecided right now.
Okay, last time we talked about this one time, you were
undecided. But if I had an opportunity,
so the next time I come in here, you might be wearing a MAGA hat.
I won't be wearing a MAGA hat. But if I was offered a Trump interview, I would absolutely do it. If I was offered a Biden interview, I would absolutely do it. If I was offered a Kamala Harris interview, I would absolutely do it.
Now I wouldn't want to interview Kamala Harris. Like, she don't got nothing to talk about.
She got something to talk about. She got something to talk about. And that's to me. But at the end of the day, what Charlemagne did, he explained to me why he did not. Charlemagne's my man, and I respect his opinion on it. It's like, okay, cool. Joe Budden interviewed her as well.
I interviewed her before both.
Yeah, and you interviewed her. Yeah. So it's like, okay, I get it. Because listen.
I fuck with Candace. Again, not on every point, but I don't agree with nobody on every point. I agree with Candace on some of the points that like, she's a conservative.
Do you think that George Floyd died because of drugs? The guy's knee on his neck had nothing to do with it? No.
All right, so that is that's
But that's a big one.
No.
You can't say that's just one little small point. That's a big one.
No. That's one incident. Not to trivialize the loss or the death of George Floyd, but the bigger things that she speaks about is some of the stuff I agree with. Like, some of her criticisms about how they're pushing certain propagandas in schools to kids about the trans and all this other stuff. I understand what Shorty's saying.
I'm sure there's a lot. Listen, I've interviewed Robert F. Kennedy Jr., right? And there's a lot of conspiracy theory about the vaccine and everything else like that I didn't agree
I'm with her with that. I get vaccinated. I know you vaccinated.
I got vaccinated. In fact, I got a booster.
Me, Kyrie, were the last two.
Right.
Me, Kyrie, and Candace.
Right. And that's cool. When we did the interview, I didn't even bring any of that stuff up. I felt there was enough to talk about to not even mention that, because there's a lot of really good things about, in terms of saving the environment and everything else like that, and plus the importance of him being a Kennedy and knowing the inside story of the Kennedy family, which is, look,
hey,
I fly into JF Kennedy Airport. Like, you can't downplay how important the Kennedys are.
Hey, back to Candace for a second. And this, okay, great. Say I disagree with her with her stance on the George Floyd thing. Yeah. But I ain't gonna lie, I gave her a lot of credit, and I think it took someone as brave as her to actually go expose BLM for all the misusing of the funds, because I think that any person, the average black person, were gonna look like you're a sellout if you questioned that organization, and she was already seen as whatever, which gave her the courage to go expose what that was.
Yeah, and BLM ended up being a scam in a lot of ways. They're buying homes,
Like
they're paying their brother $1 million a year for security and ridiculous
Vlad, you remember
things.
Yele? When they be like, that earthquake in Haiti, and be like, yo, just text Yele 504, donate some money. And they were like, yo, they said, my man, Wycliffe, they said, yeah, Wycliffe and his peoples, you know what I mean? The little Tyndall swindler with the money, man. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Never heard that? The Yele's?
I haven't heard that.
Man.
I haven't heard that.
Google
And
that
listen,
joint,
Candace is an intelligent person.
So
right?
why don't you want to sit with her to exchange
She's
ideas?
intelligent, and she does have good points. But now, if she wants to say, you know something, Vlad, look, I remember I said I don't support reparations in terms, black reparations in terms of cash payments. I think it should be in the form of free college education. A lot of people got on me, and I tried to defend my point. Because I said, something, I don't think America has the money to actually do black reparations. But then COVID happened, and I saw how much money was just being thrown around aimlessly. And I had to come back and say, something?
Man, Ukraine got all the reparations.
Yeah.
You got to go get that back
Exactly.
from them.
And I said, something? I was wrong. In fact, I'm sorry that I said that. I do think that there should be cash reparations for descendants of slaves. And something, it shouldn't just be, maybe education should be part of it, but there should be cash to go with it. I was wrong. I've got new information. I was wrong. Now, if me and Candace had a conversation, and in that conversation, said, something, at the time, with limited information, I said that it seemed like he died from drugs, but after going through the trial and going through all the evidence and everything else like that.
But you disagree with her on one point.
That's a big point. It's a big point, and it's also a very racist point.
No, it's a point that also is echoed by racists. But if you were gonna have me to say she's the black face of white racism, I would have to hear a lot more of these points that she's just spewing verbatim.
Right. But this is a big one, because the George Floyd protests were the biggest worldwide protests in world history. Okay? This is a big one. It's a big one. You can't just say, hey, I said 10 other things that you agree with. This is a big one. Now, if she came in and said, something, Vlad? In retrospect, I was trying to go for shock value, but in retrospect,
Vlad,
something, I'm wrong. And I'm willing to go on your platform and say, my bad on that. He died from the knee on his neck. But I don't think she's going to do that.
There's still very educated people and people you respect their opinion that think that George Bush knocked down the towers. And they will stick by that. They'll say 20 million other smart shit, and they'll always be like, that's what was behind 9/11.
Okay.
And that also is, and you know what I mean? Obviously, there's a spectrum, right? You get to the spectrum where you have the Alex Jones level, who got sued and he owes $1 billion because he feels that the Sandy Hook mass shoot never happened.
Right. And he got sued for $1 billion and lost.
And that's like all the way down there. But a
But
woman.
if there was a video of George Bush actually shooting down the towers, then I would say, okay, maybe they have a point. But there's a video of a guy on George Floyd's neck with his knee as George Floyd is calling for his dead mother, and everyone's screaming around him, and he's continuing to put his knee on this man's neck until he dies in front of everybody. It's a little hard to say he was just a drug addict and the knee just had nothing to do with it.
Well, Candace is one of those people that sometimes tries to be too smart for her own good. And she didn't just make a lot of thin air about drugs. I think the toxicology report, there was
drugs in the system. No one's denying this.
Which again,
he didn't die from the drugs. He died from the knee on his neck.
No. Again,
and he was proven in court.
I'm not saying
unanimous jury.
I'm not saying that I believe what she's saying. I'm just saying I sit with people all the time that I disagree with all the time. Like they might think A happened, I think B happened. To me, Candace, I like the fact that I won't necessarily call her independent thinker, because sometimes, her thinking points kind of seem to align with certain groups. But I do like the fact that she's definitely down to even challenge the establishment, at least like speak up. You know what I mean? And again, for me, it's all about, how the hell, I want to see her on the Breakfast Club.
She was on the Breakfast Club.
Well, I want to see her on more political liberal platforms. You know why? Because I want to see actual opinions being traded between two. I would love to see her with Jon Stewart or someone like that, right? Like, we're not supposed to talk in an echo chamber. That's why I hate watching Fox. I hate watching CNN. They bring on 20 pundits. They all say the same thing, and then they bring on one person that's supposed to be the foil, and that person like is the dumbest person ever. Like they'll bring on like, what was that? They used to bring on that Mark Lamont Hill. All right, yo, bring this dummy in.
Yo, Mark LaFlop Hill.
Oh, yeah. Bring this fool in, okay? Did we give him his $15 for his per diem? All right, let's get him in here. Mic him up. Okay, let's go. Like, nah.
Yeah. Nah, I get it, man. And listen, I respect you for bringing her in, and I've never bashed you for it. You know what I'm saying? I didn't bash Charlamagne for it. I just asked him why he did it.
And by
he
the way,
told me his reasoning. I said, okay, cool. I got it.
And by the way, and this is why, like, you know, it's amazing that we all have our own platforms. You get to make that decision, too. Because you might just be like, hey, I don't want to sit with this person.
Exactly. This is my platform. I don't want to do it, and it's cool. Now, if we were to have that, like I said, if she had any interest in being on my platform, which I don't know if she does or not, you know, we would have to have a conversation ahead of time. And I'm going to be like, listen, what do you think? Do you still feel this way about this? If she says, you know something, not really. I'm like, okay, cool. Why don't you come on my platform?
I have a sneaky suggestion. She's not going to say that.
Right, exactly. So she won't be on my platform, and that's life. She does very well on her own platform, and she gets on your platform, on
she just got fired by Daily Wire.
Joe Bunn's platform, and on The Breakfast Club. She's good. She's good.
She just got fired by Daily Wire.
I think over anti-Semitic comments. See, I don't remember. I couldn't figure out what exactly she said to get fired over that. Do you know?
It's kind of complicated because there was internal strife going on with her over there for a while.
Yeah.
Essentially, she got bigger than the person who was leading the talking points.
And notice I'm not saying any of the anti-Semitic stuff. I'm like,
yeah.
Okay, I understand she got fired, but it's like sometimes when it comes
she
to...
She defended Kanye a bit while, Ben Shapiro slammed him. And,
I remember that, yeah.
She tried to call him out on some hypocrisy, and it was just, it was messy.
I understand with anti-Semitism, the Jewish community a lot of times kind of overshoots their mark and are overly sensitive, and a lot of stuff that people claim are anti-Semitic really aren't anti-Semitic. Like when...
Now, the only thing I will say though, Vlad, is like, listen, you see, I think the black community, and I don't want to be spokesperson for the black community, but I'll be saying maybe we should look at our Jewish brothers and probably, look at how they deal with stuff, because you say one thing, you're fucking done. There's no coming back. We're getting rid of your bank account. We're getting you off the map. You could have a whole video like Justin Bieber when he was singing about hanging N-words or whatever.
Yeah.
And, bruh, nobody loves Bieber more than niggas.
Yeah, like, Quavo does songs with him.
We don't forget.
John Tolliver.
As soon as he started
Future has songs with him.
As soon as he started rocking a bandana, we start calling him the white Tupac.
Right, but to be fair, he did it as a little kid, not as an adult. And I think a lot of people looked at that and said, not to say it's excusable, but they said, man, who hasn't said dumb stuff as a 10-year-old?
If there was a video of any artist, even as a kid, saying some anti-Semitic shit, but very direct, like, yo, like, I don't even want to, but you're done. It's over. Like, trust me, it's over. It's over.
Nick Cannon's still in business.
He retracted and by the way, he was soft, like, he didn't really jump all the way out. He was just co-signed like Mr. Louis Farrakhan. And
No, he was co-signing from Public Enemy. What's his name? I interviewed him also.
Yeah, but he wasn't like, I don't want to say there's levels to the anti-Semitism. He wasn't out there like, again, if there was a word that could like sum up the experience, like just like joking around.
Professor Griff.
Okay.
Yeah, he was co-signing Professor Griff. But, at the end of the day, people make mistakes.
They got him out of here for a good while, though. They were like, hey,
that
show
Wild
done.
Out, but then he got Wild Out back. In fact, he's got a bunch of shows now. So I feel like he's okay now. So, it is what it is. People, listen. At the end of the day, some people hold their ground. Some people...
Kanye tried to apologize. They ain't letting that nigga come back in.
He's got #1 song in the country.
We had to, everybody went back to that clip and said
we had that discussion, yeah. Well, here's people like
Kanye
Vlad
said he can't book a stadium.